Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this interview.
Sure.
Okay. The first question. How do you think technology affects the younger generation, as technology is a big part of our world?
We talk about this all the time.
I
know. Okay. I'm not 100% convinced that the increase in technology is a good thing for the younger generation. I think that everyone... do you want me to list the reasons why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I go? Okay.
Yeah.
I think number one, it has a sense of anonymity, and you guys aren't used to... You don't talk face-to-face with people, so there's this kind of sense of you don't think through what you say or your actions so much because you don't see the immediate response on people's faces.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's something missing there, that people a little too freely let their mouths go or their fingers fly, as it be, with use of technology. And I also think that's a huge time suck. I think that people aren't interacting with each other, and they're not just getting out and being creative and, playing, if you want to say, just like doing stuff, because you're focused on the technology.
So when did you get technology when you were a kid?
My very first cell phone wasn't until I was in college, and it was this big bag thing that I only put in the car and plugged into the cigarette lighter when I drove from college home. And it wasn't to talk on, it was there for emergency purposes.
So do you think that's why you have such a strong opinion on technology now, because you didn't have it when you were a kid?
Yeah, I think that is... Yes, I think that's probably the reason, is because I'm not... And as an adult now, I'm very slowly starting to use these different things of technology, as you guys are setting me up for them. But even as an adult, it's not part of my everyday. Yeah. And so I don't have the perspective you do as far as how much everyone is using it and how ingrained in your life it is. I mean, I guess we're really just talking about social media. There's a lot of things as far as technology goes.
Yeah.
So I guess the focus of what I'm stating is about social media.
So what are you most scared of if, you were to expand the access for me and my sisters using social media?
I'm afraid that, number one, it'd be even more of a time suck. Some of the social media things, I think that there is a pressure to, respond in a certain amount of time, which then I think that for the most part you guys do a good job of putting your phones down and studying and staying away from them. But I think some of these other types of social media, you're going to feel less like you can step away from your phone because you're expected to respond. And I think that we've seen statistically that your grades are better when you don't have the phone, don't have that right in front of you. And so it would affect you negatively as far as, ultimately your grades.
So what do you think is your number one reason for restricting us on social media? Is it just the grade aspect?
Well, I don't really understand the need for it. I feel like you guys already spend... enough time, and you have enough ways to access your friends through texting, calling, the different Skyping. There's all these different ways you already have, 4 ways to contact your friends. And to have even more ways kind of feels like, why do you need that when it'll probably just take up more of your time?
Do you think that if you were, when you were a kid and you had social media and stuff like this, do you think that you would be, promoting my sisters and I to use social media more? Or do you think that you would...
I think I would probably be in your same spot, probably arguing with my parents, where I would feel the same way you're feeling, where it's like, well, everybody has it, so I want it. I think right now we're specifically just talking about the Snapchat thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think I would be in your position, where I'd just be like, everyone has it, therefore I want it, because I don't want to feel left out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my parents would be kind of in the same position I am, which is saying, I don't see why there's, a need other than because everyone else has it. That doesn't feel like a good enough, the whole, what's that old saying? Like, if everyone's going to jump off the bridge, are you going to jump too just because everyone else is doing it? Kind of a thing.
So like recognizing that like everyone has it
So I still want it, Mom.
and acknowledging that, do you think that should promote, like, do you think that you should be less restrictive on it so that your kids aren't outsiders?
Well, okay, two things. First of all, every parent I poll, which I've asked a number.
Oh, God.
I have. I'm up to like 5 now that I've asked. Every single parent, when I ask if I should let you have Snapchat, they all say, oh my gosh, no. Okay, so that's kind of a telling sign. Number 2, you're at a really small school of 65 kids per class. Your friends are your friends. You're not really going to become a social outcast just because you don't have Snapchat.
But what about our friends from outside of school?
You can text them, you can Skype them, you can do all of these other ways of getting a hold of them.
But do you think when we go off to college that it's going to be less interesting? Like, if they see, like, a call from me, they're like, oh, decline.
Well,
like,
when you go off to college, maybe, then, I don't know, maybe you have Snapchat then. Who knows? That's 2 years away. There'll probably be some new thing.
yeah.
I mean, the way everything is changing. I just don't like some of the things about Snapchat I really have issues with. I think that the sense of non-permanency, which is completely false, every single thing is still there and can be found. But I think that, going back to the first thing I said, where there's this lack of sensitivity in texting and, because you aren't face-to-face with people, I believe it is even worse and more so with Snapchat, because then you get the mindset of, oh, it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
So I can't be called upon. At least with text messaging, it was there, it was written down, you were, people could kind of go back to it and say, this is what you said.
Yeah.
So, that I don't really like. If they changed, but that's part of what their selling point is.
Yeah.
If it would change to be more of a permanent thing, it didn't disappear, all of that kind of stuff, I would feel differently about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, summarizing the key points, can you just summarize, like, the key points of, like, what you're hesitant toward and, like...
My hesitancy is just, I guess, I want to try and keep a sense of grounded, I don't even know if it's groundedness, but I think that your generation of kids are very focused and reliant upon social media and the technology, and always feeling like they have to immediately be connected, and their heads are down all the time looking at their little screen, which I don't think develops a very good, you're supposed to be developing yourself, your person, your personality, your interests, your beliefs, all this kind of stuff, and I don't think you're being exposed to things when you're so focused on just what's going on, who said what.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Was that too long?
No, I don't even know how long it's supposed to be.